Nashville, Tennessee. He knew Dottie West and all them people that were big deals down there. So we went over to his house just to visit him, and then Dad said, well, Vicki sings, and so he says, well, let me hear you, and I said, oh, I don't want to get up in front of just two people and sing, I'm much better singing in big crowds than just one-on-one.
Sure.
And so I did sing for him, and he says, I think you need to go to Nashville, Tennessee and cut a record. And I said, I was shy. And so anyway, we ended up going, and I cut the record. And you know what's so weird to me is I found my record on the internet last year.
Really?
How in the world did it even get there?
Like, you mean like on Amazon, or you could buy the record somewhere?
I don't even know how it got on there.
One thing where I found, and these bands will come up, and I'm finding information on YouTube. Like these old clips and recordings that people have uploaded there for music you can't find anywhere. It's, this crazy little online video service has become this, like, musical
thing to look for to find. Yeah. Well, and Dottie West, I went to a show.
So did you get it? Did you get your record?
Yeah, it was made and all that stuff.
I mean, when you saw it online, did you purchase it?
Oh, no. Somebody had bought it. I mean, somebody bought that one, and then I went back on again, and somebody else, they must have put it on, the Stardate Studios must have put it on themselves, because there was another one there when this one was gone for a while. So anyway, I was on a TV show. It's called Summer Nights or something, and Dottie West was on the show, and it had been like I was 12 and I was probably in my late 40s when this happened. But I went to the show, and she came on, and I put my hand up in the audience and I said, I don't know if you remember me or not, but I cut a record with you when I was 12 years old. And she says, you did? And I said, you worked at Stardate Studios, didn't you, as a backup singer? And she said, yeah, I did. And so I went up there, and I had a picture of me and her together because I'm sitting on her lap, because she told the producers of the record, she said, you're going to have to sign her up. She's got what it takes. And so anyway, I just ended up selling my records. I still have a few of them left.
You still got a few?
Uh-huh.
Why don't you give them one of them?
I should, yeah.
Yeah, we'd love to have
Here's another funny story. I was buying a car last year, and the guy that was selling us the car, I told him somehow we got around to Nashville, and I said I cut a record in Nashville. He said, you did? And he says, where did you cut it at? And I said, Stardate Studios. He says, my dad worked at Stardate Studios. And I said, you're kidding me. And he said, no. He says, my dad played steel guitar. I said, I had a steel guitar player on my record. And he said, so his dad called in. Just so happened his dad called in. And he said, Dad, I've got a girl here. She says her name was Vicki Van Winkle, and that she was 12 years old when she cut a record. Do you remember her? And I could hear him on the phone. He goes, I sure do remember her. And I'm thinking, well, at that time,
You'd probably be pretty memorable, a 12-year-old girl, that probably doesn't happen every day,
Well, it was just, I don't know. Things just always happened. Yeah. I always felt like God was doing this for me. I always felt that way. I used to thank Him when I'd win contests and all that, and then I'd say, but I feel sorry for the others, that didn't, and I don't know.
Yeah.
It was just, I had a childhood that was so unique that it's really kind of hard for the normal people to understand.
But, I mean, it sounds a lot like people who have a lot of, like, athletic ability, who have just won and succeeded, all throughout.
And you don't
high
think you
school,
will.
and it comes pretty easy to them
Yeah.
because they have this
Mhm.
God-given talent.
That's what I mean. I know it's a God-given talent for me.
And then, and you just see them, I just thank God for
Mhm.
this talent I've been blessed with.
Absolutely.
So when you were at Fairmont,
Hmm.
who and the girls were getting together in the
Mhm.
in the cafeteria, did you seek her out or did you seek them out?
We
No,
had a
It was a
friend.
mutual thing, I think.
It was a friend that was
Yeah.
Jessica
Jessica
Ellis
Ellis.
was her name. I knew her. They knew her. She found them for me, and so then next thing I know, Francis, I think you were first. And
So,
then,
Fran, did you invite her over to your house?
No.
Or was it
her house.
my house.
you
had
invited them over?
She had a piano, and we weren't taking this very serious at all, the three of us, me and Penny and Leslie. But she said, come over, and we got there, and we took one look at her and thought, oh no, because she looked like Marilyn Monroe. We rode horses and climbed fences and played in the creek.
Right.
And
And then I turned into them after I got to know.
we were floored when we saw her at her house.
So how did you make it past that first
Well,
day?
I don't really know. Leslie set up that one little snare drum and her two little drumsticks, and at the time I had a Gibson Sunburst, which was my dad's guitar, and I wanted a red guitar. I didn't care what kind it was. I didn't know anything about guitars. I just wanted a red one. So my dad took his precious guitar that he loved dearly, took it down to Pop's Music in downtown Dayton, and he knew I wanted a red guitar, so he picked out three. And I went down and I picked this one out, and he traded his guitar. And his wife
that
had
one right
this.
there.
Yeah, so he gave up his guitar for me to have this.
Wow, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome. And this was before you guys got together?
No,
This was after
yeah.
once you figured out that maybe
Well, I
you
had
were
the
gonna do
Gibson. I
something.
played Dad's guitar. It was electric, but it was basic, and I played that when we first got the band together. And actually, that's the guitar I was playing when we won the Battle of the Bands at
Really?
U-Haul.
So you went over to her house
Yes.
and you're lugging your equipment in? Or
Oh, we didn't have any
you
equipment.
didn't have.
But the
And what, did
second,
you get together in your bedroom? Or
no, it was our living room, and it was
Yeah.
our second practice that the newspaper got wind of us, and Dayton Daily News come down and had
your
pictures.
second practice?
Yeah.
Our second practice together, seeing each other, and that's some of the memorabilia you have out there. Is us in our living room the second time we saw
The
each other.
second practice. Wow.
Well, I think the media kind of carried us along there. I don't know that we would have really done it had Tom and the Tempest or Tom Fortner not
Right.
taken hold of everything. And
Well, it
kind of-
sounded like they were very
Yeah.
involved in promoting
Yeah,
you.
they were active and.
But I'm still stuck on that first day, that first meeting.
Oh, that was
in
so
our house.
mean.
So you
It was
just kind of
awful.
looked at each other. Did anybody play anything? You
I
didn't
tried to sing a song, but they didn't know how
They
to
didn't know
play
how to play
very
any
much
songs,
yet.
yeah.
So that kind of went. And so when they left, me and my mom talked about it, and I said, I don't know if this is going to work, But then we kept trying and practicing, and then when Tom Fortner taught them
Yes.
8 songs, because we were getting in
House of the
Battle
Rising
of the
Sun
Bands,
was the first song
our
they
first
taught us.
song, Battle of the Bands, and we won. Because the crowd, had
Right.
to.
So you kept practicing.
Yes.
Did you learn any songs initially on your own?
Not till after
Well,
this.
I already knew a couple of Beatles songs just playing with my brother.
So was Tom like, okay, we have this Battle of the Bands thing coming
Yep.
up. You guys
That's
got to play
exactly
it.
what happened.
And then he taught
Then
you
they
some
came
songs.
over and taught them the songs. I already knew them, but they had to
You
learn.
know how to sing them. They
I
didn't know how to
did.
play 'em.
Mhm.
How many?
We
songs?
started out with Money. That was our very first song we played out by the Beatles.
Mhm.
And
House of the Rising Sun.
House of the Rising Sun was like our third song.
In that set, you mean?
Mm-hmm.
What were some of the other songs in your set? Do you remember?
I wrote
She's
them.
got it all on her
Good.
phone notes.
Good.
I might have. I think they're still on here. I don't know. Yeah, we had quite a song list actually. We did.
Well, yeah, after we were together, we had like 50
Yeah.
songs by the
So
at the end.
he came and he taught you how to play a few songs.
We went to my
And-
grandmother's house, and she said we could practice in her basement. And they lived in Belmont anyway, so that's what they came over. All their band came over and taught them their parts of the song.
And
Oh,
was
I could
this-
actually
was
sing
this
with them
the
after
Tempest? Was it
The
Tom and
Tempest.
the Tempest, your former band?
Yeah. They were well known
Well,
at
that's
that time.
great. If a band comes over
Yes.
and shows everybody
Yes.
how to play,
Yes. I think.
Well, and we caught on really fast. I mean, we learned our songs.
They did.
And we didn't make any mistakes on that stage.
They did.
And we didn't have very long to learn them in. So we had, and I don't normally toot my own horn, but we had some natural talent in that band.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
We
you
really
because you,
did.
you already had some musical experience,
Yes,
but
we did.
so from the time that they came over to the time of this event, how much time was it between?
I'd say 3 or 4 weeks.
So you had a
Mhm.
month to.
Yeah. To
Were
wonder
you, were
if
you,
this was
were
going
you,
to go
were you scared to
anywhere.
death that?
I thought, this may not work because I don't know if these girls are going to be able to.
Yeah.
And then when he said, look, because I told him that, I think he had a crush on
Because a
me.
lot of people go to it, you know.
Yes.
It's a big crowd, right?
Yes. Oh, when we first did GBU, that Battle of Bands, there were tons of people there. And we walked through with
Well,
our
they
outfits
announced us
on.
on the radio.
Yeah, they announced us on
So
the
they
radio.
announced you on the radio.
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah.
And
Steve-
this was right
I think
after
it was-
you learned these songs.
Was it Steve Kirk that?
Yeah, Dayton's first all-girl band. We heard it constantly
So
on the
this
radio.
was your very first performance.
Very first.
In
Very
front of
first.
people was this
Yes.
Battle of the Bands.
Very.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So how many bands were playing that?
There were
night?
10.
Was
10
it
that
10?
day.
There were
Mhm.
10.
I wish I could remember.
And then
who
we
they
played
were.
in
And
another
everyone knew who you were.
Oh,
When,
no, not when they
I mean,
first
what
saw
was it
us.
like
They knew
when
we were
you-
coming to
Like
this.
when you came out, what was that like?
Screaming.
It was
We
like
felt
the
like the
Beatles.
Beatles.
They were waiting on us, and then they saw us come through because we had to go to the restroom, and so we went to the restroom, and they were going, there they are, you know,
It's-
stuff
it's
like
true.
that.
That's Vicki.
Yeah.
They were on shoulders. They were snapping
They
pictures
were.
we couldn't
Was
see.
it for all the bands or?
No,
For
just
you.
us.
Just our band.
It floored us because we really did. We
Because
took
Because you were an
autographs.
all-girl
the first.
rock band, and that's
Honest to God, we never, ever, and anybody we asked, have you ever heard of all-girl bands, you know, out before us? And they said no, you know, so it just wasn't known, was it, back then?
No, it really
But
wasn't.
it may come out now on the internet because people might say, well, we were an all-girl band.
oh sure.
You know,
So when do you know what year this was?
when we started,
When this Battle of the Bands was?
well, that would have been,
65?
we were 16.
64? 65? I was 17 when I
64.
graduated.
64. We started in 64.
Right.
So it was like at the end of 64.
So during the school year, it would have been or like the end of '64. You mean like towards November?
I'm thinking
December?
like October. Well,
'Cause
wait a
what,
minute.
you know what would be neat is because we have the old Daily News here archives. It would be cool to
Wow.
bring up the old newspapers and see if we could
That
find
would
any
be.
advertisements for that.
I found the song list.
You know, they had advertisements like when we go play at the building, they'd have bulletin boards of us and things like that. But
Do you have any of those flyers for Vicki? And
I
the
gave
rest?
I gave them to
You
you.
gave
Yeah.
them to us.
You
Yeah.
have.
you have
Okay.
what I have.
No, you didn't give him yours. We talked to Gino.
I gave him all my flyers and stuff. I just didn't give him my jacket yet
Or your pictures.
because I had a hard time.
Gino is the one we talked to
Gino.
the first time he came to my house. And I just relinquished everything that day. And Vicki wanted to talk to her kids first.
I
Sure,
wanted to
sure.
keep my jacket because it's the only thing I had
Oh
of the
yeah.
band.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
but I finally did bring it the last time I was here, though.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
Did you leave your
hanging on the
jacket?
wall
I left
there.
my jacket.
Yeah.
Do you have two jackets?
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to ask Lisa.
Well, I
don't
hope
know.
so
I don't know
because
the
I
whole-
did bring my
I
jacket the
don't
last time
remember
I was
that.
here.
Anything that was brought is part of the inventory, and that's what Lisa was kind of taking care of. But yeah, I do remember one of you at least bringing a jacket.
Yeah,
back
that was
in
me.
November.
They hung it up on the wall for a while,
Yeah.
and then I left. So then when I came back with my husband, then I saw it again.
So at the Battle of the Bands, were you really that good? Or
No,
could you guys have done anything and would people have just gone?
What
bonkers?
made us good was, and I'm not tooting
Well,
my
you got a
own
great
horn.
voice, obviously.
That's
you know.
kind of what happened was, if I hadn't had all that experience before, because I was a showman, I'd go around and do all this stuff
She
like
got
you
the
see on
audience
TV.
involved.
I got and would talk to the audience and all that, and they wouldn't hardly move because they were so shy.
Scared to death.
We were even on TV once where I was on TV probably 20 times before I met them on like Rising Generation and all that. So I was used to all that, but they had never been on, and we were on one show. And what was we playing that day?
What was that show by the swimming pool that was
Swim
by
and
the...
Swing.
Swim and swing.
Yeah.
We were there.
Because we were knocking our brains trying to see how we could.
Is there any way to get hold of that film?
I don't know that there is. I mean, we've tried for other things, but a lot of like local TV stations, their old films got reused and taped over, or there'd be so much film in their archive that it just wasn't really feasible for them to.
We
Did
love
you
the
ever
Rising
hear of
Generation too?
Harry Schrager?
Harry Schrager.
He used to work at WHIO. He used to be on shows with me because he took from Mr. and Mrs. Wright too. He was what do you call it? What do you call them people that act?
An actor.
He was, but they had another name for him. And he was always on the show. When I'd go be on the TV show before I met them, it was always fun to see each other again because we knew each other since he knew me since I was 5 and all that. But
yeah, I know Jim Foreman had also really tried.
that's the guy you know.
I love
because a lot of these local bands played on that, and if you
True.
could find some of the film footage, it would have footage of so many of these bands that we can
Somebody
talk about.
called me up 20 years ago. This is the time, and he said, "I'm trying to get the 60s bands together," and he says, "I've gotten a hold of a lot of them," but he said everybody kept telling me, the band guys kept saying, "You have got to get a hold of Vicki and the rest," and all that stuff. That's what he told me, and I said, "Really?" And because we'd been out of that business for a long time. And so he said, "Yeah, I'm going to do a documentary," and I don't remember his name, but he sat and talked with me for a good hour. Remember,
Yeah.
I told you guys.
It might have been Jim for all we know. I could ask Jim.
I know that he said that like in the
Why don't
did
you
he
ask
say in
him?
the 80s,
Yeah.
You should
like in
ask
the
him if
80s
he
that
ever.
he supposedly
He's searching
had
out our
hundreds of these
record
old
now.
interviews.
He's going to start being a disc jockey in Yellow Springs on their.
Jim is.
Yeah.
Really?
And he is after me. I love Jim, and I want to get this for him. He wants our record so bad because he wants to give it airtime.
Right.
And I can't find it. And a man named Bill Mattingly, who's also a musician, and probably ought to get him in here too, honestly, but he said he has our record. I don't know how he would have gotten it, but he said he has it, and so now I'm kind of on Bill to look and see
I
if he
didn't know
can
you were
find it.
talking to Bill.
Yeah.
He used to live near me.
Yeah, he's
That's
such a
funny
nice man.
because I remember Jim posting something on Facebook,
Yeah, he
asking
did.
everyone
He did.
what were your favorite Dayton bands, and do you know how to get the.
Now, do
the
you know
records?
him?
Well, he came,
Yeah, that day.
and he used to play in the band with my brother-in-law. He was in.
He's the
Really?
reason we're here.
He was in the Elderly Brothers.
Okay.
Jim is the reason we're here.
Yeah, I know that.
Jim knows Gino, and Jim is the one that mentioned our band to Gino, and then Gino came to our house, and then I
Yeah,
started talking
yeah.
about all of our friends that played, and then
Yeah.
it just got bigger and bigger and bigger, which is a wonderful thing.
Yeah. Well,
But-
that's neat to hear that Jim's going to be doing a radio show.
yeah, I
Sounds
hope
like
we can
he's-
find our band.
Yeah, yeah. So,
Would he have to go to the recording studio and get it through there? Like, what was that called? You guys just I recognized it when you said it, but I had a stroke a year ago, so it's like I got
The rising
Yeah.
generation.
my memory doesn't last. Short-term memory loss I have.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that studios have all their old.
I was just wondering if they could find it.
I mean, again, it would.
I'm going to go to Cybertechnics and see if they have anything in
Now-
there.
It would probably vary, from studio to studio in terms of how they
Won't hurt to
archive,
try.
You told me that your mom had it and it was out in her barn in Florida and it melted.
Oh.
No, not mine.
Whose?
Mine went to Aunt B's house. I had mine when we lived with my Aunt B. My Aunt B got killed in a car accident. And so her house went up everything went up for auction. And I almost died the day of the auction, so I wasn't able to find my record in that house. And that record probably got thrown in the trash.
Yeah.
But it was in my Aunt B's house.
And I asked my brother, because he was in December's Children. He started a band after I did. And that was with Ira.
yeah.
That was his first band.
Your brother was
My
in
brother.
December's Children?
hmm He played bass.
And Steve was too, right? Steve Crosses was
Steve
in
Crosses.
December.
That
That's
was
when
his
they-
friends back then.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
they
when
had
they drove
the
the
hearse.
Yeah.
I was in that hearse every day almost, because I was dating some guy named Glenn Stapleton at the time, and he was friends with a Victorian Skiffles guy. So Steve, he couldn't drive yet because we were only 16. He didn't have his driver's license. So Steve picked us up every day
Yeah.
and was in that hearse every day.
Chris, do you want the name of these songs? Because I keep losing them and have
Yeah,
to find
yeah.
them again.
Right.
These
Yeah.
were from Vicki and the Rest?
Yes, these are the songs we played. And I keep losing them. I have to
Yeah.
find them again.
Did you have them written down, or were they?
Me and Penny and Leslie collaborated on
Oh.
Messenger.
So it was House of the Rising Sun.
House of the Rising Sun, Love Me Do, Tired of Waiting, So Tired, Tired of Waiting.
Was that Kings?
Remember?
Was that Kings?
I can't remember. Day Tripper, For Your Love. You remembering these, Vicki?
Yeah.
Shout. And we
Shout
play
was-
Shout until our fingers were almost bleeding.
I used to bring people up with me and dance with them when I sang Shout, because you really had to
Right.
belt that one out.
That was a crazy one because it was
Yeah.
only 2 chords, and it wasn't even 2 chords you changed. You played 1 chord and you put your little finger up and down, and that's all.
Right.
And your finger, those strings were buried in our fingers at the end of that song. It was awful. Anyway,
You did. You kept
No,
saying your
it was
fingers were
awful.
hurting.
Name Gang, and yeah, they tried to get Vicki to say the F word by saying
But I
Sing
didn't.
Chuck, and she never
I'm
did.
too nice a girl.
And Wooly Bully, Where the Action Is.
That was the Mark Lindsley song.
Yeah. We Got to Get Out of This Place. Knock on Wood.
These were a lot of songs that I sang in Tom and the Tempest too.
Roll Over Beethoven. Long Tall Texan.
Was when we were silly in that
I
one.
know. Act Naturally.
We got silly in that one too.
We did a bunch of Beatles stuff. There's too many to find. Tell Laura I Love Her. Remember when she wanted to do Tell Laura I Love Her and we had a fit and said no? That's part of our conversation. Because you wanted to sing that and we always had
Well,
tantrums.
that's quite a list of songs.
Yeah, we had a lot.
We had
Hang On
50 in the
Sloopy.
end. Hang on, Sloopy.
Yeah,
Because
we
we
did Hang
knew
on, Sloopy.
Rick Zaringer, Rick and the
Yeah.
Raiders first, and then they changed their name to the McCoys.
And did you do Walking in the Sand? They said we did that by the Shangri-Las. Vicki and Leslie, or Penny and Leslie said you did that. I don't remember that one, but that's what they said, and they kind of knew more than they remember more than I do.
So you won Battle of the Bands,
That was crazy.
and you're 16, something like
16.
that.
Leslie
What?
was 15.
Leslie was 14, the
She was
drummer.
14?
She was 14. And Penny, Francis, and I was 16.
So what happened after that? I mean, were you just
We couldn't believe these people were
started
acting like
calling
we
Were you
us.
local? I mean, were you playing all over the place?
All over
Getting
the-
Yeah,
invites
people
to
started
play?
calling us word of mouth, and we'd like for you girls to play here. We played a lot of skating rinks,
Rainbow
too,
Rink,
and swimming pool
Bean
places,
and Twin Lakes.
Twin Lakes, Bell Fountain. We played in. Was that at a pool too?
I can't remember.
So a lot of pool parties.
Yes.
A lot of the
Skating
small
rinks.
towns
Mhm.
along the periphery around
Yeah.
Dayton. How many gigs do you think you guys?
We played for quite a while, and we played often.
Were you making money?
Yeah, we were getting paid. Not much.
Not much.
Paid.
More than what we,
Somebody was probably making money. Yeah.
somebody was.
Yeah.
You're right.
And we walked in, I had a Silvertone amplifier and a guitar and a case. That's all I had. And Penny had her harmony and her little amplifier. And Mary had the best stuff at the time. She had a Gretsch Country Gentleman. She had a great guitar. I'm not sure what happened to it.
She lives in Georgia now.
Yeah, she was military,
She turned into military.
career military
And you had a
nurse.
snare drum. Right.
We had a
Yes.
snare.
At that time,
Oh.
Leslie had already
But you know
bought
She
it.
got
what?
a
Like a
drum
week
kit,
or two
yeah.
later, she come in with a whole new drum
Yeah.
set, and I go, "Whose is that?" And she said, "It's mine." And I said, "Are you kidding me? You have a drum set?"
She got a set of Ludwig.
Yeah,
drums.
she did. Pink champagne.
They were real pretty. Real
And
pretty.
I put Vicki in the
Did
rest.
she ran out and got that, or she?
Her
Yeah.
parents, yeah.
Well, that was
I
nice
guess
of
she
them.
didn't
Yeah.
like just having a snare only.
Well, then she got that old bass drum. Remember from the marching band?
Yeah.
She had that old bass drum that she
I thought,
played.
what am I going to do to these girls? But it turned out greater than what you thought it would. It seemed like it shouldn't have went as good as it did.
I think that
So it's going great. How? I mean, did this? How long were you chugging along? Was it through high school?
No, just a couple years.
Just a couple
Mhm.
years.
Yeah,
You
a
weren't done
couple
with high
years.
school yet. Yeah.
Penny actually went on to do more than the rest of us.
She went to New York and got in
an all-girl band, called
another all-girl
Bittersweet.
band. They started
Bittersweet.
after us. And then, so she went and got in their band. And I've been singing at weddings.
But after
Did
that,
you
I got
ever
in.
have like big aspirations? For,
Yes, we did.
For Vicki and the rest.
we did, but we were too immature and too
I
silly.
mean, did you ever take a shot anywhere?
We actually
Outside of
kind of
it?
tried after
We played in Cincinnati at that one real famous club. That
after
they
the
used to have.
Bittersweet. Penny married a gentleman named Marshall, and they moved to New Bedford, Massachusetts. And we decided we were going to reunite the band.
We did.
So
This
after
was after. high
This is
school?
when we were 18.
Yes, after we graduated, we flew to New Bedford, Massachusetts. We all lived in one little apartment, and we started practicing in an old barn out in the country.
You're gonna make it big.
Oh yeah, we were gonna make it big. But I was the only one engaged. I was engaged to Dan, and the rest of them were single, so they were out all night having fun with friends and partying and all that stuff. We didn't really party. We just had fun.
We never drank.
No,
or
we didn't do
anything.
anything.
We were really sweet little innocent
So,
girls.
so when I say party, I just mean they were out on the town having
So
fun.
they were out. Your
And I'm
boyfriend
sitting in
or
the-
your fiance was back in Dayton.
Yeah, and I'm sitting in the apartment
Yeah.
all by myself. And then Penny and Leslie got in a car accident.
But I got in their band. Penny's
After I came
after
home,
you
though,
left.
So you came home
I decided I couldn't take it. They were all having fun, and I was
and
sitting
you were
alone.
homesick and.
And my boyfriend was here, and they were having fun. They had new boyfriends, and I had nothing. So I called Dan, and I said, "Come and get me." And so I was the one that finalized the breakup of the band.
We get so many stories. It's so funny though when we were up there. But
Okay.
yeah, I got in that. I got in their band because they
So they started another band.
they started. They had a band.
They had a band.
Yeah.
Penny's husband
Was a
had a
drummer.
band, and so we went up there to be Vicki and the rest again, but it didn't work out. So then they said, "You want to? Let's see if you can sing in our band with us." So we were out in the middle of this field of this old farmhouse rundown, and all these hippies was sitting around us in there, and
out in Massachusetts, out in
Yeah. And
movies.
anyway, so I started singing with them, and everybody seemed to like me. So we started getting jobs up there in Massachusetts, like Providence, Rhode Island, and what are some of the other places up there? Anyway, and they never got jobs before me.